So chapter 6. So this is the final chapter. No more pretending you're dinosaurs. And this, I think this is a great title because we think about dinosaurs and we think about how the people who started ILM are now the dinosaurs and how it connects with how they were trying to get the behavior dinosaurs, that whole story. So just to summarize this chapter here, it talks about how Spaz and Mark basically really turn things around with Jurassic Park, and how you have the Phil Tippett doing the stop motion, who's been hired to do it. This is what's going to happen.
Oh yeah, he's in production of all the models. He's building everything. He's ready to go.
But
he's
Spaz
spending hundreds of thousands of dollars,
hundreds of things. But Spaz and Mark, they have a better idea.
Yeah.
And Dennis Muren's kind of like, okay, let's just quietly let you try this out. And they ambush Kennedy.
They went rogue.
Yeah.
Changed everything.
Because he was saying, it's great with solid objects, but these are organic. This isn't solids. And he built the skeleton and showed him the skeleton. He's like, yeah, that's great, but it's not organic. We need skin to move. We need this to do. We need, I love it. And the fact that they, like Jamie said, they did it rogue. They went off guerrilla style and they left it on the screen on repeat so that Kathleen Kennedy could see it. That was genius.
And Kathleen Kennedy patting him on the back saying, you got a great future.
When honestly, I feel like that was a coin flip for those two. It was either the pat on the back saying you have a bright future, or you've wasted hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's your pink slip.
Good luck on your future endeavors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they easily could have and probably should have been fired, because the plan was to go with Tippett. He was in full production, and they went around behind everyone's backs. It's crazy.
I never thought of it about that. About that way. So
how much time and money do you think Phil Tippett spent that went unused on the movie because of what they did?
Their job was just to blur, I believe, right? Just to enhance Tippett's stop motion animation.
Yeah, just to smooth out the in-betweens, basically.
Yeah. But I think he was doing it on his own time, wasn't he?
He was, but still.
Yeah. No, I hear you. So again, if you don't stop progression.
Yeah. Well, and that's that ILM mentality, right?
Yeah.
And Spaz, like, out of all of the entire series, Spaz was the one person that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. He was very cocky and confident.
Canadian.
Total Canadian.
Torontonian. Let's tap the brakes on the Canadian talk. And I mean, being a hockey fan, as soon as I saw the Leafs jersey, I'm like, yep, that tracks.
Arrogant.
Yes, arrogant. But I mean, to Spaz's credit, he actually backed up his words and his demeanor, where I feel like Maple Leafs fans really can't claim that at all.
They got more cups than we do, sir.
I think Spaz was the Canadian sneakers guy, right? He was the guy. That's got to be what it was. He was doing all that crazy digital
based
espionage.
on his life.
Yeah.
Like he's doing the cowboy shit just in the modern age, right? He's doing what they did in the 70s, just with computers.
Yeah.
He went in not really knowing how it was all going to work. He just knew what he wanted to do and figured it out.
It's like Dykstra, but Dykstra didn't last.
And that's a perfect comparison, like him to Dykstra, except Dykstra basically got his walking papers.
Yeah.
Where Spaz got a pat on the back from Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, well, at this point, you haven't directly got to answer to George Lucas, right? So at this point, it's grown to the point where you're going through supervisor and manager, right?
Wow, and the ambush was perfect.
Yeah.
Because like getting Spielberg, your director, on board, that basically gave him immunity, right? That saved his ass.
Diplomatic immunity.
Yeah.
But I also like the way that they took Phil under the wing and said, this isn't over for you. This isn't it. We need you because you are the guy with the talent that's going to tell these guys how it needs to look. They're going to do it, but you're going to direct them. You're going to be the person that tells them how it should move and how it should. Because we see Spaz struggle like hell to get the. If he didn't get the run, it was never going to happen. And he struggled and struggled and struggled.
That's a great context for the name of the episode, where someone got injured.
Yes.
Pretending that they were dinosaurs.
Yeah,
right?
they were all running,
Like,
and one
okay,
of them.
that's it. Like no more.
One of the
said-
animators, yeah.
Wasn't it
So
Phil Tippett
great.
that said they had to do the running? They had to do the acting. So they would go to acting class, and they'd act like a dinosaur, and they'd all be walking around with their little hands at the front and doing the stride, and they walk and attack each other with their heads. And then they had to see what it would look like if a pack of dinosaurs came running through, and they jumped over these hurdles, and one of them was supposed to stop, turn on the hurdle. He twisted and fell, and they have it on video. They have it on
Him
video. He
breaking
twisted
his
and fell,
ankle,
broke his
right?
arm.
Yeah,
It was his arm, I think. It was his drawing.
Yeah.
It was his drawing arm, and then they said, "Okay, no more acting like dinosaurs." Yeah, it's so
That was
good.
great to
So
look
good.
at that footage, though. It was really
Yeah.
good how they're wandering around and jumping.
Yeah.
Perfect.
See, and I remember seeing that footage back in the day when Jurassic Park first came out, of all the animators running around pretending they're dinosaurs.
Yeah,
So yeah, that was great to see that come back.
Part of the story I really enjoyed was how when they went to screen it, first they screened it with a small group. Dennis Muren and Jean was there, and Jean talks. She says it's like a religious experience. No, sorry, that was Spielberg. Jean just said he's just like, she knew this is it. This is going to change everything, and this is going to impact CG animation. And then they showed it to Spielberg and Kennedy, and they leapt to their feet. A religious experience. Everything was going to change from now on. And that's coming from Spielberg and Kennedy. So they knew this was a big deal. And then they go to Tippett, and it's just, they let that moment just sit in there. And his quote of, I feel extinct. It's like, I'm so glad that they did let him continue. They had to, because he, like you said, he understood how they moved. They couldn't have done it without him.
He's still the master of the movement, right?
Yes, you have to do it with him.
there's just
Nobody
a
else in the
different
world.
medium.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Nobody else can do what he does. No one has the hours and the understanding that he does.
Yeah. And I love the fact Spielberg put it in the movie as well.
Yeah.
The extinct line.
I see. I haven't seen Jurassic Park for so long. I didn't even realize that was
that's
in the
right.
movie. So, the chapter later goes on to more current stuff like Mandalorian and all this sort of stuff, and it was good. But I think it was kind of, again, it's stuff we're kind of familiar with, but also it didn't have as much impact as the CG Jurassic Park story. But we did see how Kim and John, our married couple, who were the prop people, they move to the computers, and it was a tough move for them. Like he's talking about what's it like working on the computer, and he's talking like, you go in a shop, put on the machine, and all of a sudden the machine disappears and everything's gone. And I'm just, I identified with that, working with computers. Just like all of a sudden, you don't do anything. He when he dreams, his dreams are of like drop down menus, and it's just but they do the change. They convert and they move on, and they are good at what they do. But we do see how now CG has impacted. They talk about the round and how that changed a lot. And
The void.
the void, sorry, not
Volume. Sorry, the volume.
Volume,
Yeah,
even
yeah,
better. Yeah,
yeah,
one of those three we talked about. But the volume, how that has had a major impact as well on just being in an environment you can connect with and act towards. It did. I mean, we have friends who do the bucket heads. Like
It's progression, right? It's the next progression.
yeah, Marco and Andy, who do the Bucketheads fan film, have worked in a volume style set, and it's huge. It becomes more accessible. It's like they talk about digital editing, they talk about graphics, and now kids are using it just to make a YouTube video or a TikTok video. Simple things that we see in a 30-second video on your phone, which all kind of comes from all this work.
We're using it now.
We're using it right now, for Christ's sake. Yeah, it's just like,
Got backdrops behind us. I'm on a Star Destroyer.
yeah,
I'm on
I
a Death
still got
Star.
I'm on a Death Star.
yeah, and I'm back in the 70s. But and then we see, like we said, we see the end of how it impacts today in the shows and stuff. And to wrap all this up, because we hit an hour, we did great, guys. To wrap all this up, this was a wonderful look back. I love the progression. I love how the story was told, how it led from chapter to chapter. The characters they gave them, or again, they're not freaking characters, they're real people. The real people involved in ILM, and how everyone had an impact, not just on ILM, but us as fans watching movies today and using YouTube and using a phone and all that sort of stuff. It's just, you don't realize how impactful it is. So I wanted to get to your last words on Light and Magic here. We'll start with you, Jamie. Any last words on this whole documentary?
I think one thing that we missed, or I might have missed, I really like the Doug Chang stuff as well.
Yeah, we did miss it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, the big focus of those episodes is like the CG revolution, and Doug Chang is kind of just in the mix doing the old school like Ralph McQuarrie style concept art, and I love his story too, and I love his art and listening to him speak about the process and just how much hard work went into it and how much reverence he had for all the Macquarie stuff. So like that was among all of the CG stuff, like just having Doug Chang in there as well. It's easy to miss, but I enjoyed him and his content just as much as anything else in there.
Throughout all these chapters, when we're introduced to these people, they do talk about how Star Wars impacted their life. And when I saw that, and Harryhausen comes up a tremendous amount, even with the modern people. And it talks about their influences and their history, and how their mom just happened to have this knowledge of movies, and how their mom just likes to go to theaters, and how that had a huge impact on them. Just a simple fact that Dennis Muren's mom knew about how Harryhausen did that one scene, and now he's hooked. Simple things like that. It's weird how the spark lights that fire. Steve, your impressions on the series?
Oh, I love it. I think I'll constantly want to watch it to see if I've missed something. I no longer have to dig up the old DVDs and go back to the behind the scenes anymore. Right? This one's really good. But the one thing that stood out for me was, I think it was way back on the beginning on the first episode, the first interview you see with Dykstra, and the lady that's interviewing him says, people don't just wake up and say, one day I'm going to be a special effects guy. How did you get into this, right? And nowadays people can do that. And I think if you think back to the fact that was true back then, people like no one would wake up and think, I want to do this. How the hell did you get into it, right? But now people they can wake up and say, I want to get into that. And that's where the future is right now, is that it's commonplace. And if you want to get into it, you can get into it. And it's probably never going to slow down, right? There's always going to be a change. There's always going to be something coming up. And now it's just one of those things that if you were affected by this, man, I wish I could do it. I wish I could get involved with this. It just seems like such a rewarding thing. But then I also know people that are in the industry and they're, overworked, underpaid, and not enjoying life, right? So, and I think a lot of that is the bigger it gets, the harder. I don't know.
It's nice to hear the good stories.
Careful what you wish for, I guess, is one of those things. But
that quote you said, it to me, it came off very condescending. But this is in 2022 eyes, right? It's just like, who wants to grow up and be? No one wants to grow up and say, I want to be a special effects.
In that interview time, it didn't exist.
And I think back to we talked about this before, but the Far Side comic, where the parents are watching their son play video games, and their mind's going to the want ads and like professional video game, 6-figure salary, and it's like, oh, who's going to be a video game? Want to play video games for a career?
Yeah. So
I want you to kind of think of a job that who wants to wake up and say, I want to be this. It's possible, whatever it is.
Because you never know. Because I'm sure they weren't getting paid a ton of money back then. I'm sure the budgets were still good, but I'm sure the actual people doing the work were not getting paid a ton of money.
Yeah.
So to have that,
sorry, Steve.
No, I was going to say, to have that freedom to do that stuff and to be able to create and let their mind out and put their stuff to work, and sure as shit, it would have got a lot better for them as they became masters of their craft. But You know, I love the fact that you can wake up and do that now, and you can set your goal to do that, and you can probably get to that point, because there's going to be, what the hell is it going to be in another 5-10 years? You know, that's crazy.
Who knows? Well, and that's what's so amazing
you probably
about that
do.
all.
Smell-o-vision.
Yeah, like we can sit around and try and think of like what's the next big advance in filmmaking going to be in the next 5 or 10 years. You know how hard that is to think about that, but the people in ILM did that.
Yeah.
And like George Lucas too, he did that. That's why we are where we are with filmmaking right now, is that they were able to think of what advances need to happen in order for him to get his vision onto the screen.
And because of that stubbornness as well, that no, don't tell me I can't, because he can.
Yeah, just think about it.
I went to Universal the other weekend, Universal Studios, and one of the things you can do is go and meet a velociraptor. It's crazy. It's crazy, right? And it looks so real, and it looks so good, and it's crazy.
There was that one quote, before we wrap it up, there was one quote from George Lucas. We talked about how passive aggressive or whatever it is. He's talking to, I can't remember the guy's name again, John Knoll, and he's talking about just try it. I know you're in pain. I recognize your pain. just think about it, you know?
Yeah.
Again, he's like, I don't really care about it. Just do what I ask you to do. So,
yeah. Well,
anyway.
it's in a way he's motivating him, right? He's like, just push. I recognize that what you're doing is extremely difficult, but the end product is going to be so much better for it. Just push through.
Yeah.
Yeah. I shouldn't come across.
It's like another way of saying, prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Prove me wrong then. Prove me wrong.
Oh, and that's an old Bruce Lee thing too. I remember hearing a story about Bruce Lee, and that's kind of what George Lucas is doing too, where Bruce Lee is training a new student, and they go for a like a 5-mile run every day, and his trainee is saying, we need to stop. I'm gonna die. And he's like, well, then either die or keep going.
And so he died that day.
5 students later, legend.
I mean, well, yeah, you guys joke, but the moral of the story is he kept running and he didn't die.
Yeah.
Okay. With that being said, I think we're going to wrap it up. Thank you guys. I super enjoyed this look into Light and Magic. It says season 1. I don't know if there's another season that could happen out of this. This has become one of my favorite Star Wars documentaries, if I dare say so. One of my favorites, the other one being from '83, where we take a look back. I can't remember the name of it anymore, but it's one of my favorites. I can't remember the name, but either way, I really enjoyed this one. I can see myself going back to this a number of times, and I hope you guys enjoyed listening to it and watching it on YouTube. If you haven't, if you did so, thanks for watching us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, help us grow, and don't forget we've hit 200. Yay!
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Look at that. Look at that play button. That's totally official.
Can I press it?
Yeah, go ahead. Press it. There you go. Boop. It giggles. But that being said, Steve, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram under Shitspackle Muppet Fart.
All right. And lots of great pictures of cosplay and costumes and
hopefully
morning
more to
coffees. Come. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's always good to welcome everyone into the weekend, and it's always good to do it with a coffee.
Anil couldn't join us today, but Jamie, where can we find Anil?
Space Hindu, Google it, on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. I know he did shoot a concert recently, so I'm sure he's posting photos of that. That's pretty exciting.
And a rare pic of Charlie, which was really cute too. So, and as for me, Outer Rim Rookie, the Outer Rim Rookie Show on our YouTube channel, which you're watching right now if you're on our YouTube channel, and working on the reuse costume, created this play button, and lots of other great stuff. So thanks for liking, subscribing if you've done so, and help the channel grow, share, help the podcast grow. We're on what episode is it right now? We are on episode 348. So we've been going for close to 7 years now. So lots more to come. In fact, Jamie, we're gonna have to talk about your next movie pick. So think about it. So we'll surprise them on the next podcast. thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we will talk to you next week with Jamie's movie pick for movie night. So talk to you there. Bye.
Try it.
Just think about it.
Think about it. Just think about it.